Hey, what's up, guys? It's Darren. Welcome back to the Touch MBA podcast. For those of you listening in for the first time, I'm a former MBA admissions director. I've been hosting this show now for a number of years, and what I try to do is bring on admissions directors and students from the world's top business schools, ask them about their programs, try to figure out, what makes each of these programs unique. Obviously, I also want to give you guys the best tips I can to help you get in to your dream or target MBAs. So this week, I had on Manuel Fajardo, who's a Colombian civil engineer who decided to head to Israel to pursue his MBA. Manuel came to us for free school selection help at touchmba.com. And when I heard back from him that he was attending this program that, frankly, I hadn't heard of before, I was really curious. So I had him on the show. We talked about his experience at the Sofaer Global MBA, which is based in Tel Aviv University in Israel. And the program really sells itself as a hub of innovation, as a place where students are going to learn about venture, innovation, and entrepreneurship. And I think there's always been this debate, right, in MBA circles or even non-MBA circles about whether you can really learn entrepreneurship by getting an MBA. There's one camp that says, no, you just have to start a company. That's the only way you're going to learn. And there's another camp that says you're going to meet, an amazing network. An MBA program can accelerate your progress with your business idea if you have one, and you're going to learn a lot of different perspectives and strong ways to think about your new venture. So I hope this episode gives you some ideas for why Manuel is pursuing his MBA at Sofaer, and how he's taking advantage of that ecosystem to launch his business. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. And again, if you need help figuring out which schools fit you best, go head over to touchmba.com. We offer free profile reviews over there. One last note I want to make is, unfortunately, our connection was a little rough during this interview, so please forgive the sound quality. We've done our best to clean it up in editing, but I still think you're able to hear most of our conversation. So enjoy. So I'm really excited to have my next guest on the show. He came to Touch MBA for some profile help last year, and now he is currently attending the Sofaer Global MBA at the College School of Management at Tel Aviv University. So, Manuel, I want to welcome you to the show. Welcome to the Touch MBA podcast.
Thank you, Darren, for having me here.
Yeah, so, Manuel, when I heard from you and heard that you were attending this business school, I was very interested because, as we just spoke about, I did spend 1 year in Colombia. So I do have this connection, I feel, to, applicants from Colombia. And not only, are you from Colombia, but you applied and got into this business school in Israel. And so I'm just so curious about your journey and why you made that decision. So when you first came to us, right, you were looking at schools all over the world. Or maybe I'll just let you tell your story. So could you tell us more about what you're doing pre-MBA?
Okay, I'm going to start telling you that I'm a civil engineer. And after I got my degree, I was trying to pursue some entrepreneurial career, but I have no knowledge on how to do it. So after a failure, I went back to the corporate job. I was a chief engineer at a construction company that was making mainly roads. And over there, I got like 2 years or almost 3 years of experience building roads all over the country. It was a beautiful experience. I have the opportunity to know more my country, but also I was in a very beautiful project at that company of making an information system for the company, an ERP. So we built and integrate all the company, and it was a nice project. So after doing that, I get more involved in people related to management and high-level management of civil engineering projects. So I was thinking about doing something related of managerial project thing, but I feel more like I want to turn over my career for something more high-level manager. So I started thinking about an MBA. So after that, I went to work to the family business, and we were contractors from an Israeli company, the biggest construction company from Israel. And working with them, I make really good friendship with the people from Israel. Okay, so they recommend me, like, why not Israel? And they told me that we can see on you like that entrepreneurial skills, leadership that they need to build new companies, to make new ventures. Give it a glance to Israel. That was it. So I started doing more research on that, and I maybe kind of like tell you a lot of the story here. My girlfriend, she's from Chile. She made her master in political science in 2015 in Israel.
Wow.
So we were like having this idea. It was like me halfway point. Like everything like come together at one point. Like the recommendation from the Israeli company, the recommendation from my girlfriend, and the willingness of us to move here to Israel. So everything comes together, and then after a couple of more research and interviews with the program recruiting team, and I saw the more detail about the pensum and the classes and the core MBA that's super focused on a new venture creation, entrepreneurial skills, connect you with the Israeli ecosystem, and show you how that ecosystem made that, like, how Israeli is possible in only around 70 years to become like this country is, because they connect entrepreneurs, the academia, the government, and the people. Connecting that thing, you make that ecosystem. And I was like, okay, you sell it to me. I'm down for it.
Yeah. And had you visited Israel, like visited your girlfriend there before you applied to Sofaer?
On 2015, when she was doing her master in political science, I came to visit her for 1 week. And I also like the country very much. The people, the city, Tel Aviv, is an amazing city. Like, got people from all over the world, literally. Like, you can hear like 5 or 6 languages in one street. And you can tell that from my class. My class is a very unique class with people from all over the world. This class, particularly this year, we're going to be 37 MBA candidates. There are 37 MBA candidates. Next year, there are going to be 51.
Yeah. And how old is this MBA program? How long has it been running for?
We celebrated recently the 10 years of the program.
So it's fairly young. Yeah.
10 years. This year was at...
Okay, so 10 years. And okay, so before, you stepped foot on campus and you decided to come, right? I'm still curious about, were you looking at any other schools within Israel as well, or in other places?
Yeah, before I decided for Israel, I was with this idea of doing an MBA for a couple of years, maybe 2 or 3 years before. I was looking in Canada, HAC, and the John Molson School Business, but I didn't fall in love with the city, like the weather, the winter, and I was wasn't that sure everything that I was looking for, like to have like a very good experience, meaningful learning experience, and also like to give a break on my life. Like, I'm leaving 15 minutes walk to the beach, so I'm literally leaving. No, I'm not interested in having a car or nothing. I'm just walking every day, going to the beach, then have classes, doing sports, and knowing people from all over the world, and in a super safe environment. Like, Tel Aviv is one of the safest cities I have ever been.
Yeah, you mentioned that Tel Aviv is one of the safest cities you've ever lived in, but I think people who haven't been to Israel are like, oh my gosh, there's like war and bombs and all this sort of stuff. Like, what has that experience been for you? Is that just completely not representative of what's going on?
let me tell you something. Like there is something that happened to a lot of people that were when you are in the airplane arriving to Israel, you see in the screen of your front seat that you are surrounded by what you hear in the news, like all the countries that are surrounding Israel has some type of conflict, and you are like, oh my god, where I'm going to like. But as soon as you arrive to Israel and you put your feet into the airport, you feel safe, really. And okay, the country has needs to special security measures in the outside borders, but at the same time, that special security borders has made like a community from the people that are willing to be here. So everybody takes care of everyone, and that's very beautiful. Like from the country I am, that Colombia has been in war for more than 30 years, but it's an internal conflict. When the conflict is external, they build up this type of security, entrepreneurial ideas in the military, in the technological, in the software. So you really feel that security here. Like you really feel that nothing's gonna happen to you. I have been walking last night. We went out for dinners with some friends. 1 in the morning, I came back walking like almost 30 minutes walk. And I'm sure nothing's gonna happen. Like in a very dark street. It's amazing.
So, all right, I have to ask you. You're looking at those other schools you mentioned in Canada, and then you find Sofaer, right, in Tel Aviv. But it is a young MBA program. It's only 10 years old. I personally think it's super exciting, the curriculum. I mean, like you said, looking through the core and elective curriculum, it's just refreshing to see a program that's very focused on new venture creation and innovation. But, you know, an MBA is a big investment. And what's your thinking there in terms of, yeah, you want to learn, upgrade yourself, right? But how did this rather young MBA kind of fit into your career plans?
Okay, we got our experience at the end of last year, literally the end of the year. We spent the New Year's Eve with the people from Wharton University. I think we were like 45 students that came here for an intensive 1 week experience with us. We have a mixed group. And we're traveling around the nearest cities from Tel Aviv, visiting startups or very big companies that are doing some work for Intel, for example, or Mobileye, or the newest and latest medical devices. And comparing to them, all of them were doing their MBAs, and the one that is paying for their MBA was a corporate or a big corporation. So they were like willing to scale their position on that big corporation, and they are committed to work on that corporation for several years to pay that money back. Here, the difference is that I'm here by my own will. And after this MBA, I'm going to pursue an entrepreneurial idea that I have. I can partner. And this school has supported me in everything, like all the classes, all the projects, all the professors, all the experience is supporting me to go and pursue that entrepreneurial idea. That connection with the ecosystem that I mentioned before, here in Israel, the connections are made by people, word of mouth. So if you have a great idea here, you just need to find someone that knows someone, and they will connect you immediately with a decision maker of a VC fund. And if your idea is a great idea, you will get like the seed money immediately. There's no questions asked. And that is great for me because from my experience from Colombia, the most difficult part of being an entrepreneur is to find that seed money. And here they teach me how to like look for that seed money in a very easy way. Like to make partnerships is easy. And you can build meaningful relations, trust, and scale a business from an idea to a startup to a corporation, and maybe why not to an IPO or a big exit.
And are those connections facilitated through Tel Aviv University, the School of Management, the MBA program, or on your own outside of the university? How does that work?
The university and the professors and the network is all in service for the students. Everything. There is even there's Tau Ventures, that is Tel Aviv University found ventures for small ideas. The university program has two accelerators in my program that connects you with Israelis from the Israeli MBA that is in Hebrew. And you can, as I told you, like from one idea, got mentorship, develop that idea, find the funding, be in an accelerator for 6 months to 1 year, all paid with some seed money to actually get some traction and test your idea. And everything is done here by the academia. Is what is amazing from this experience.
Wow. So how many of your 37 classmates are planning to start something or have already started something during the program? Or I mean,
from the 37 that I know so far, only one is going back immediately, get his degree because they offered him a very big corporate position in a bank in Germany. The rest of us either are working on one idea, are planning to go to an accelerator, or making teams or partnerships with classmates to making this test on the ideas we got. So there is a very few portion of my classmates that actually like seeking going back to a corporate job. We have a lot of students that came from a corporate job, and after being here a while, like I can give you a straight example. One friend from London, he was working for EY, I think, EY, and he got his position. It's safe for him. Whenever he wants to go back. But he recently told me in a dinner, like, you know what, I'm going to stay. And I really think that this idea that I've been working in this accelerator, I think it could get some traction. I want to pursue it. So it's great.
Wow. Okay. So maybe we could walk through your journey. I mean, what industry is your idea? Would you mind telling us what industry it is? Yeah.
No, so I'm happy to tell you. So I mentioned I'm a civil engineer. I have participated with my family in a couple of entrepreneurial projects regarding construction and materials of construction, asphalt, concrete, and aggregate. But most recently, I started working with my brother on a food tech venture that is drying fruit with a new technology that adjusts temperature. It basically drops the pressure inside of the chamber and take out the water of the fruits and plants. So we are very focused on a healthy food snack that could provide food safety. And nowadays in the Corona crisis, I think it is one of the priorities of the world leaders to have food safety no matter what. So I want to pursue that entrepreneurial idea, and we are working on it.
Sounds super interesting. And so, can you tell me, I'm curious how this idea evolved throughout the MBA program. Did you have it before you started and then you worked on it during the classes and in the accelerator? Or I'm curious how the learning environment helped you develop this idea. And if you could give, specific examples, that'd be great.
Okay. We have a lot of project classes. Sometimes I say to myself, why I took so many project classes, but now that I'm in the ending of the MBA, I'm grateful to have taken a lot of project classes. So, for example, at the beginning of the program, I took a class called Global Impact Lab, and it is a co-shared class with the people from Shankar University. Shankar is the biggest and one of the most famous universities in engineering, architecture, and design. And we are a combined class with people from that university. And the objective of that class is building an idea to solve real environmental problems. So we have 3 amazing professors, one from Shankar, one from Tel Aviv University, and the third one is from I don't remember. I don't know if she's from IDC or a university in the north. So it's that mixture and like a small ecosystem that we built inside of that class that works to build something new. So we start thinking round tables, brainstorming, what do you want to do? What problems concern you? What have you heard about? Like, what are the main environmental problems nowadays? And how could it possibly be solved with disruptive technology? So my experience in that class, I kind of built the idea with a designer from Shankar, another friend from Uganda, from the Sofaer MBA, and myself. We built an idea of environmental friendly commuters delivery services. We named it SASU, and we won the best project of that class. And we won the opportunity to participate in the next year Shankar Accelerator to actually give it a try to that idea, to move forward in the founding, in the business idea, in the finances. So it's great. So far, I don't know if I'm going to take the opportunity to go and speak more on that project, but that's a small example. There are other accelerators. I'm taking one with Dr. Leslie Bruto that is called New Venture Creation. And over there, I have a team of 6 classmates that we are working very hard to develop a business plan and a possible funding round, seed round for my entrepreneurial idea of the dry fruit. So it's all the complete package from the business model, marketing model, the executive summary, the pitch deck. And for example, with that idea, I'm participating in the culinary competition. The culinary competition is founded by Mr. Jeremy Kohler and his foundation, and it's for startups that are willing to get seed money, either for food tech ideas that are environmentally friendly, not animal-based, only plant-based ideas to bring food security for the future. And also there's another fund in this competition for whatever startup you want, like a software, technological, whatever. So there are like these 2 spots every year from the culinary competition that you can work from the core classes.
Wow. So how many accelerators are there? Because you make it sound like there's like tons of accelerators.
There are. We can be related to almost 4 or 5 accelerators, and you can really have access to them. Like for real. Like if you want to participate, you just need to raise your hand, and you to say, okay, I got this idea. I want to be in this accelerator. You professors and mentors, and you start building every week. It's a very interesting iterative process that makes your idea convert into a project.
And those accelerators are all housed within Tel Aviv University?
Some of them are joint projects with other universities. But the majority are hosted at Tel Aviv University.
Got it. And what did you not expect? Like before you came to the program, maybe you had certain expectations. What has really surprised you about the MBA program?
Okay, I was expecting a more Hebrew, Jewish environment. I was surprised isn't like that. It's a very international program, and everything is in English. You can come here, no matter obviously the main language of the city is Hebrew, but everybody speaks English. Everybody, literally. You don't need to speak anything of Hebrew, and well, the religious issue, the keeping of Shabbat, but also the city remains open, and you can do whatever you want. It's super free. It's fine, and it's an environment of purely respect from your side and from the side of the locals. It's very nice.
And what do you wish more applicants who were in your shoes last year, what do you wish more of them knew about so far?
I don't understand your question.
Yeah. I'm just, because you're going to a young, innovative program, right? And I'm wondering what you wish more MBA applicants who might be listening to the show, like, what do you wish they knew about the Sofaer Global MBA? Does that make sense?
Well, yeah, it kind of makes sense. Thinking that you're asking me like what I'm like, I know that the MBA is 50% compound by the core class and the program and the knowledge you share with your classmates. I cannot tell like the average age of the program is, I think it's fine. Like another amazing thing from this program is they are accepting PhD students that are willing to get more managerial skills. So, for example, 3 of my classmates, they are PhD students. They are researchers on different fields. One on the neuroscientific research for medical devices. The other one is researching on he's a neuroscientific from Russia, and his story is amazing because he is a scientist, but he understands that no matter what knowledge he has, he needs to communicate in a proper way to actually get the funding to move forward on his research. And probably one day he will get the proper funding to bring the world a disruptive technology or drug that could improve the life of people. But for doing that, you need the managerial skills. So this is amazing from this program to get involved with that researchers and scientists that there are a lot here in Israel.
And how do you feel about going to a program where you have, a relatively very small class, right? 37 students this year, when there's other MBA programs that have 500 or 1,000 people. What has your experience been with that?
Initially, I was kind of, I was kind of worried. The reason why was that. But after we arrived here, they told us that at the end, in the last phase, because they have like the 60 or 55 follow-up applicants to be really ready, but at the end they decide to only make a 37 class with the most skill because the program wants to be recognized internationally as a premium and top class program. So they only want the best candidates to be here. So, and I think this year they start the application early. They make a marketing campaign, the program, to get that because the program is not as famous, and it got like really great things to do marketing about it. It's very unique in the terms that I don't know any other program that the core is the entrepreneurial and the innovation and the skills to level to bring to their candidates. That's the difference. Now I feel super comfortable. I know all my classmates. It's great to have a small class. We are like a small family. We are like doing a lot of work together. Now we know the skills, the particular skills of each of our classmates. So we are trying like a small business corporation. For example, in my recent example of the new venture creation class, I was able to choose a team with a specific skill. So I got one friend that she's got a lot of experience on advertisement and marketing. I got a friend that he's an expert on finance and he got some background on corporate finance. I got another friend that he's an expert on business development. I built a small team that is like a small company or a startup for my idea. And I got a friend that she has a background in business advertisement and marketing. I got a friend that he has background in corporate finance, so he's helping me building the financial models. Another classmate that is in the project, his background is in business development. So I built a team that is very meaningful for my startup, and that's great.
Yeah. I have 2 like kind of career related questions, right? One is, it sounds like most of your classmates want to try to build something, right? Want to try to start a new venture, want to explore that. So do you think most of them, including yourself, will stay in Tel Aviv, stay in Israel? Or like, how does that work? Like as a graduate from the MBA program, can you stay in the country for a while? Or are there very strict visas? How does that work?
Well, you can get an internship that is sponsored by the university. For example, even like I found this amazing. Like 3 weeks ago or 1 week or 1 month ago, like the country was very worried about the job positions because there were unemployment like all over the world. But this week we have a meeting with the company. We're able to get 2 positions for internships. So if you think about it, there's a lot of positions for only 37 candidates, and I don't know if there are going to be enough people for occupy that 22 vacancies for internships. It is well known that if you perform great in your internship, you can apply for a work visa. It's no problem.
And do you plan to stay? Like, are you still there with your girlfriend in Tel Aviv? Like, do you plan to stay past?
Yeah, we're together
past August. Or are you planning to go back to Colombia?
Yeah.
What are your plans?
No, I'm planning to stay here. I'm planning to get an internship specifically in a venture capital. I want to be part of that part of the story to actually know how things 1 year after idea and get some traction to actually get the. I think like to have the 2 sides of the story from the entrepreneur and the venture. It will be like a complete combination in the future if I want companies and understand the evaluation process. It's interesting to get experience in a venture capital.
Gotcha. And, as a civil engineer, now having gone through this business education, this very special sort of business education, what have you really taken away from your MBA experience? What do you think you've learned?
Like so many things. Like I'm always going back to my previous steps and learning from my mistakes. Like when, for example, building a budget for a small strip center, a small construction project, and how it was so static that at the end it was missing. You got run out of cash, and you don't understand like what happened with the budget. But it's because you are not modeling it in a dynamic way. I have learned that here that dynamic modeling of budgets is like one of the most important things in whatever startup or business or construction you want to make in the future. So I get that.
Yeah. Well, Manuel, is there anything else, that I missed that I didn't ask that you want to share about your experience?
No, I think we cover like almost everything. I already talked about Tel Aviv and how we are a startup nation and the amazing ecosystem that enable all the students to interact, and we become interested in this unique network through amazing leaders and influencers. We participate as a class in a very interesting summit before the Corona crisis, at our Crowd Summit in Jerusalem. It was very good network, a lot of companies, startups, and actually at the end of the summit we end up in the Jerusalem Shuk, or like I don't know how to call it, the market, with the CEO of our crowd, Mr. John Mendes, and he was like with all the students having fun, asking us like, what are you doing? What are your ideas? And like, like this environment of relaxation, non-formalism, very human and very straightforward relationships is amazing. That is what I want to end our interview. That it is all about the people.
Yeah. No, that's great. Well, you actually inspired one last question for me that I think is important. I'd like to get your opinion, and that is simply how foreigners are perceived within Israel, right? Like within that job market, because that's always a big concern for international, or I should say, I guess, non-Israeli citizens, right? Like coming to the country and trying to establish careers there, start businesses, work for companies. Like, is the language a barrier in terms of getting jobs, or like what should applicants know about that situation?
Not at all. Language is not a barrier here. And the reason why is because Israel is such a small country that is always looking in the outside borders. So the Israeli network of jobs and companies and entrepreneurial ideas, they are always looking outside borders. If you have a great idea, it's not to build it here in Israel, it's to export it somewhere else, some other geography, and they are super open to work with you on that. So they need people with different backgrounds, different geographies, languages, because they understand that the country is built out of the outboard.
Got it. Okay, well, thank you so much, Manuel. I'm very curious to see what you end up doing with your Sofaer Global MBA and where you end up. But thanks for sharing your insights and your experience on the show. I appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to the Touch MBA podcast. Don't be shy. We have a mailing list. Go to touchmba.com and get yourself signed up. And we'll keep you posted with the best tips and insider interviews on how to get into your #1 school. You can also find us on Twitter and Facebook at Touch MBA. See you soon.